to the podcast and YouTube channel. Glad you could make it. Hope your day is going well. I have some simple ideas to share with you today. I was thinking about what makes communication so hard and why we can't communicate sometimes. And the answer that I came up with is because you're in pain, right? Think about it for a second. Can you talk after you stub your toe? Can you even speak? Probably expletives, right? I know my kids always laugh at me when I stub my toe or hurt myself because I scream. And would you want to engage in a conversation right after that? What about a conversation during childbirth? I actually have a story about this. I remember I was going through contractions and I didn't have any medication yet. And I was like breathing, trying to put my arms up to focus. And my dad kept talking to me and wanting to tell me that I was a wimp or something. And I was like, Mom, get him out. And then I was thinking of another story that occurred when my brother was playing in a state championship football game. He was a great football player, real big guy, running back. And we were all there. I was there with some friends and family watching him play, and he tore his ACL. We didn't know that he tore his ACL at the moment, but he did, and he was writhing in pain, and he was trying to communicate, but he couldn't. He was like waving his arms, and nobody knew what he needed. And all of us were up there guessing, oh, maybe he needs this, maybe he needs that. And one of my friends who, wasn't that close to my brother said, I know exactly what he needs. He needs a grape crush soda. I know him better than anybody. And everybody just started laughing. But my point is, it's very, very hard to communicate when you are in pain. In fact, I'm thinking of another brother who tore his ACL. And because of that, he was out for basically the entire year, like 8 months. He missed out on what at the time in high school was his whole life. And I remember the emotional pain, not just the physical pain, and trying to have a conversation with him. I still can remember it. He was in my parents' bed with his big old knee brace, and he was just crying. He couldn't talk at all, right? That's his whole world. So it's the same communicating, while we're in pain in our relationships or our co-parenting or with a coworker or parenting in general. It's why I can't talk to my daughter or son about something that they're doing until I deal with my own feelings about it. So basically, any interpersonal relationship, there will be no effectiveness if we are currently in pain. And there's different levels of pain, right? Like right after a divorce, every time you see a text or any form of communication from your ex, you're triggered. There's like a twinge, when you see that text or a simple question. It's the same with if you just had an argument with a spouse or a coworker and they come back in and try to bring something up, you're twinge, right? There's a little level of pain. Or maybe it's a behavior of one of your children and it just gets to you and you are having some pain associated, right? And some are big, some are small. Maybe you're had someone just died in your life. This is a huge, huge pain body. You can't decide or talk with anyone. So there's no harm in saying, when you're in pain, you're asked a question, you want to engage in some communication. There's no harm in saying, hey, let me think about it and I'll circle back with you. Or not saying anything at all in the moment. And then the next day expressing, hey, I need to talk about something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way or whatever. So it's just being aware of this pain body. I think that's the most important thing. And then it can dissipate on its own. There's a strategy by Thomas Jefferson that he says, if you have a problem, something comes up, write it down and give it 3 days until you decide to go and talk to that person about it. A lot of times, a lot can dissipate and it's not even a problem anymore. Another factor with this pain is research is suggesting that if we simply accept the pain that we have, 40% of it can be alleviated. There's research, a lot of research done with chronic pain, but this is also demonstrated in natural childbirth, right? You know, when you have that doula who's working with you saying, breathe through the pain, accept the pain. So there's a certain level of acceptance that helps alleviate the pain. I've heard this term a lot. I've shared this on my podcast, that whatever you resist persists. I can attest to that when my kids are trying to talk to me and I'm going to the bathroom and I see their fingers under the door, right? I'm trying to resist, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to do this. Mom, mom, mom. It gets louder and louder and louder. And that's a lot of times what our pain does. It gets louder and harsher when we don't accept it or address it. We let it persist. So whether we pause and address something later, or whether we breathe through it, accept the pain, whatever you want to do, I want to introduce you to a communication skill that's brilliant. So this is called the Dear Man skill. That's an acronym. It's from DBT, Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. I want you to go look this up so you can have like a reference to it. The Dear Man communication skills. All right, so we're going to go through some of the steps of the Dear Man. D, okay, when having and spurring on a conversation. Describe what it is you want. Be clear so that you can really get the other to understand. So you're wanting to state the facts and don't assume the other person can guess what you mean. So you're describing what it is you want. The next is E, express. Express your feelings and your opinions about the situation. Another tip in the express portion is to use I language instead of you language. I was hurt when you said that, you know, I felt that it meant this, or I feel that's a little manipulating, right? Okay, A, assert. Assert yourself by asking for what you want or saying no clearly and politely. Don't assume that others will do what you want if you don't ask. I love this. It's like asking what you want. It's like bringing it up, expressing how it made you feel, then asking for what you want out of this. So remember, people can't read your mind. So even if the conversation you're having is building to this point, it's crucial to say your objective plainly. Make sure you're being assertive, not passive aggressive or aggressive, just assertive, right? Standing your position. Now the R of dear, reinforce. So explain to the other person the positive outcomes that would come from them granting your request. All right, explain, hey, I'm going to be a lot happier person, or I'm going to feel so much closer to you, or I feel like our kids will, you know, just be better off and can be less stressed if we're less stressed together. Whatever it is. Okay, the M. So we're coming down on the man part. Stay mindful. It's the mindfulness. Maintain your position. Don't get distracted. If the other person starts to become defensive, which usually it happens, count on it. So stay mindful in that and don't engage in that reaction and continue to stay on track calmly. If you need to repeat your objective, what you want over and over. Then the A is appear confident. Okay, so appear effective and confident. Use good eye contact, stand tall, try to avoid like the mumbling, the whispering, the staring down at the floor. Remember, you need to believe that you deserve to have your needs met so that others will believe it too. And practice taking yourself seriously so that others will. Then the N is negotiate. So the last part, and I think this is for any type of conversation where you're trying to get a point across. Be willing to give to get. Respect that other people have limits as well. If you're willing to compromise, and reduce your request, you're much more likely to appear reasonable, to appear considerate. And sometimes you just have to give something to get something, right? So I love the Dear Man skill. I teach it all the time in my practice, and I teach it in coaching. And it's something, though, that you do actually have to practice. So you're probably thinking, Dear Man, oh my gosh, that's a long acronym. Okay, D, what's D do? So go back to the Googles, people, and Google it and print it out. I don't know, put it on your nightstand and practice it, because it can be used for anything at all. Okay. And remember, we use that when we're in our lower pain body, when we have seen, oh my gosh, I'm in such pain. I can't talk right now. Or maybe I can talk, but I know I have to be aware of my reactions, because I could be really reactionary right now because I'm in pain, right? It's that simple. Can't talk because we're in pain. Or we can't talk because we don't want to inflict pain on someone else. It's all about pain. Gosh, without pain, we could really communicate effectively. But without pain, we wouldn't have joy, and we wouldn't have that amazing happiness to not know suffering, right? We have to know it so we can discover what's really, really great in life. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. Now, guys, I am launching something I have been working on for a while. I'm really, really excited about it. It is an overcoming divorce course. I'm going to put the link in the description of the podcast, as well as in all my social medias and all these things. I poured my heart out into this course. I put everything into it. I put everything that I have done over the years with my clients and tried to formulate it and outline it just so that a person that maybe doesn't have time for coaching, or if they want to get a jump start and look into the course and work the course for themselves, that they can see their own progression, their own healing, their own emotional resilience. There's a lot in there, you guys, about distress tolerance, about becoming resilient, about looking for a future, but discovering ourselves and our patterns along the way. So there's a big workbook that goes with it, but I really believe in it, and I think it's of value. So if you yourself, or you know someone that can use a little help, you've seen them struggle through divorce, send them my way. I think that they would really appreciate it. And I really hope that people can find this resource, because I feel like it's a good one in overcoming that hard part of divorce and adjustment. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I love you all. Make it what you want.